Welcome back to the channel. This is Holden from Classroom Camp, and today I have an update for you regarding the situation in Oklahoma where Superintendent Ryan Walters has stated that any educators moving into Oklahoma from New York or California are going to have to take a new test designed to weed out woke educators. And that is not my language. That is the language being thrown around in news reports and from people in Oklahoma. They're saying this is weeding out liberals and woke educators who are planning to move to Oklahoma. Now, we're going to take a look at an article that is giving us more details on this because apparently this test has now been rolled out and educators are having to take it. So this article that I have pulled up is from CNN.com. The headline reads, "Exclusive, Oklahoma to begin controversial test to weed out woke teacher applicants today." And as I said, this is not my language. This is the language being used. And this was published on August 15th, 2025. And here it says, teachers from liberal states have relocated to Oklahoma and are seeking to work there must take a controversial new assessment to be given for the first time today. That keeps away woke indoctrinators, according to Oklahoma's top education official. Ryan Walters, Oklahoma's superintendent for public instruction, told CNN that if applicants do not pass the test, they will not earn a teaching certificate to be able to teach in public schools in the state this school year, which begins for some Oklahoma districts on Monday. The superintendent's office notified CNN on Friday that it had not yet been released as of noon, but that it was coming. So, as you can see here, this is, like I said, I talked about this a month ago. This is crazy. This is unheard of teachers having to take such an exam and it being designed for liberal teachers and only from teachers from two states, New York and California. So it's very strange. It's a very strange move by the superintendent. And as I said in my previous video, this is a guy that has had lots of controversial takes on all things education and is somebody that honestly I would love to sit down and have lunch with and just be like, hey, what are you thinking here? What's the deal? What's your logic? What's your reasoning behind all this? But, maybe I don't even need to do that because there is a lot in this article said about Ryan Walters and his statements on this test. So moving down here, here's a little bit more about it. It says, Ryan Walters says, "We will not allow these leftists' plans and schemes to take place here in Oklahoma," Walters said. "They are trying to warp the minds of our kids to turn them into social justice warriors instead of kids that are getting the most of their God-given talents to go get a good job, to go live a fulfilling life." So as you can see, he is very, very outspoken about this. He is, not afraid to hit directly at these individuals who this test is targeting. And remember, I also had told you about Ryan Walters in the past. He was pushing for a budget or some funding that would basically implement a Bible curriculum in Oklahoma and, put Bibles in all schools. So guy is a Christian true and through and doesn't want this, liberal ideology pushed in Oklahoma. So, but here's some additional information. Now, I found this very interesting. It says CNN was given exclusive access to parts of the multiple choice assessment, which is around 50 questions. One proposed question deals with gender, asking teachers to select from a series of multiple choice answers which chromosome pairs determine biological sex. Marissa Streit, CEO of PragerU, told CNN there are several questions on the test related to undoing the damage of gender ideology that is forced and taught through some of these other tests like the PRISM tests, referring to a training for teachers in California that aims to provide resources to bolster support for LGBTQ youth in California. Another question asks why freedom of religion is important to America's identity. Other questions include asking for the first three words of the Constitution, naming the two chambers of the U.S. Congress, and identifying the number of U.S. senators. Streit said the Oklahoma superintendent had asked for a test that is more wholesome and in line with the Oklahoma parents' body. Now, honestly, if you were to quiz me on some of this stuff right now, I probably would fail this test because I couldn't tell you the number of U.S. senators. I also couldn't necessarily tell you the first three words of the Constitution. Okay, I'm not a history teacher. I'm a ELA, or this year RLA teacher, and so I don't know the answers to these questions. But I also don't know. I guess chromosomes would be X and Y. But this is just it's pretty crazy. Like I said, that this test is going this far in depth. And something that was interesting that was brought up there was that the test is actually meant to counteract some of these other tests, such as the PRISM test. Now, I don't know specifically about this test. I don't, honestly, I really don't know anything about it, but it does look like this new test is some counter programming, I guess you could call it, to try to wash the brains of those who have already been brainwashed. I guess maybe that's a way that you can say it. But yeah. One thing that's also brought up in this article is the role of PragerU. I believe that's how you pronounce it. So PragerU is, well, I'll go ahead and read it for you here because I think that this is also it adds implications for the future and for where things might be going in some states. But it says here, besides Oklahoma, PragerU's content has now been approved for use as teaching materials in public schools, Alaska, Idaho, South Carolina, Louisiana, Arizona, New Hampshire, Montana, Texas, and Florida. And again, PragerU is the company that designed this test. The core of its content includes short, kid-friendly videos focused on politics, history, social issues like race and sex, climate change, and financial literacy, presented through a conservative lens. Its website states that its goal is to counter the dominant left-wing ideology in culture, media, and education. And it is exactly that, because I did go and investigate PragerU and try to see kind of what they're all about. And PragerU actually stands for Prager University. So it's kind of like Khan Academy, except this is Prager University. I don't know what Prager stands for. Maybe someone the guy who created it. But anyways, this is their website, as you can see here, and they have a lot of resources for people to watch, for kids, parents, and educators. Let's go look at what is PragerU. Our mission is to promote. Oh, okay, so we just read that on the website. I believe they're a nonprofit, so it goes into that. And yeah, so they have all these resources. Now, one thing that I also found very interesting is when searching them up, I came across this YouTube video, and it says from their official YouTube channel, it says about PragerU. Now, when I went into, I'm not going to play this for copyright reasons, but as I was watching this, you notice if you watch this on your own, you're going to see that they start to bring up all these Democratic politicians that you are very well aware of. As you can see here, here's a depiction of Obama and some things that he said. You can see the news anchor guy. What's the guy's name with the white hair? I don't know, Alexander. Looks like Hillary Clinton maybe here. But they bring up all these Democratic politicians and people, influencers and whatnot, and it's like they are directly trying to say, like, well, our message is to counteract like all this liberal stuff. Basically, they're directly attacking the Democratic Party and trying to just go against what is being said over there. And as I've said before, I'm a political centrist. I really do not care much about politics. I believe what I believe. I have my own beliefs. I don't think that Jesus, cared too much about politics, honestly. So it's not something that I'm going to care about either. But that's kind of what this company is. And in the article, as I showed you here, it's being discussed. I guess there are some concerns because PragerU is having an influence in other states, and other states are adopting their content, and it's like, well, what are the implications here? One thing that is talked about in this article, it says that apparently PragerU has a video. It says this video featuring abolitionist Frederick Douglass claims that slavery was a part of life all over the world. It was America that began the conversation to end it, which is untrue, as stated in this article. And it's like, apparently they're creating resources that have a definite slant on a definite slant on the political spectrum, and are kind of like giving not a biased lens, looking through history with a biased lens and presenting it that way, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think that one of my favorite history books is actually called A People's History of the United States, because it tries its best to tell the history of the U.S. through the lens of the people, the people who experienced it on both sides, and instead of just being one-sided. And it looks like PragerU is trying to present history and ideas on one side, and admittedly to counteract left-wing ideology. But that is basically what's going on. That's the update. As I said, this new test designed to weed out woke teacher applicants is now being rolled out. It is a real thing. If you are coming into Oklahoma from New York or California, you're going to have to take this test and pass. And even for me, from someone who is from Louisiana and is now in Texas, it seems like some of these questions might be a bit challenging. So you need to brush up on your gender ideology facts. You need to brush up on your knowledge of the Constitution and U.S. history, because this test is going to be a doozy. And one last thing I forgot to mention is that Oklahoma is already struggling with teacher shortages, all right? And, they're making it even more difficult for some teachers to come in. So just wow, it's pretty crazy. But that's all I have to say about this. And I'm curious now, what are your thoughts on this test? And what do you think about these questions that I read here in the video? Let me know down in the comments section. Also, thank you for watching. Remember to hit all the buttons, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. That's all I got for you in this one. I will see you in the next one.